What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BoxingWave10. This was a great fight. This fight delivered. It was actually the best fight of the night of all the cards last night, and probably one of the better fights of the year. Okay, Felix Verdejo against Masayoshi Nakatani. Great fight. We a lot of us knew that this was going to be a great fight. I did do a breakdown. I didn't. I wasn't right on the breakdown, but I did do a breakdown. Some of you saw it the night before the fight. I actually thought Verdejo was going to win because of those counters that we saw. I thought Verdejo was going to win this one. Plus, Nakatani was a little rusty. He hasn't been in there since his loss to Teofimo Lopez. So I figured that, I know it was a 50-50, but I figured that Verdejo was going to get the win in this one. I was wrong on this one. Nakatani got the stoppage, man. And it was an excellent fight. Let me pull up this real quick because I do want to go over some of the other lightweights later in this video, okay, to see where we're going to. So it was in the 9th round. Okay, it was in the 9th round. It was a 10th round bout. And like I said, Verdejo was coming off of like a 4 or 5 win streak. He had one of a big knockout a few months back. And the momentum was good with him, going into this fight. And Nakatani hasn't fought since last July, I think. All right, he hasn't fought since last summer sometime against Teofimo Lopez, where he lost. But it was a good performance. A lot of people didn't know who he was. It was their first time seeing him. I know it was my first time seeing Nakatani, and he did great against Teofimo Lopez. This was before Lopez fought Comey, fought Lomachenko. All right, a lot of people felt Nakatani kind of exposed him in that fight. And he went on to fight. He went on, and he went to hell and back with Felix Verdejo last night because Felix Verdejo started out quickly, and scored 2 knockdowns, hurt Nakatani continuously in the first half of this fight. Okay, he was up big, and I honestly thought that Verdejo would stop him at some point. The key things about this fight, Verdejo was definitely timing him extremely well, especially with the overhand right. He was timing him well with the right hand. He was timing him well with the left hook. He was working good behind his jab, something that we didn't see Teofimo Lopez do too much in their fight. But this is the issue with Verdejo, and I seen the same thing in his loss to Lozada. He has stamina issues. He does. All that loading up on those big counters, he was landing. It was effective. He did get the knockdowns, and he did win, and he was up pretty comfortable throughout this fight. But stamina, we saw a difference in those last couple of rounds before the fight stopped. He slowed down dramatically. Okay, the counters just wasn't coming anymore. And not only that, I don't think Felix Verdejo is that durable, because he was getting hurt by jabs, and Nakatani was taking huge shots. This guy is proven to have a chin. His eyes was a little swollen. He took some big right hands, clean, flush, big shots from Verdejo. He took big shots from Lopez as well. He's proven that he has a hell of a chin. And I just don't think Verdejo could. It was just like it was one of those things that once Nakatani wasn't fearful anymore, it was over. He started coming back, and it didn't take long for him to take control of this fight. Once he hurt Verdejo, I think he dropped Verdejo earlier. I forgot what round, but in fact, let me pull up the box rec real quick. Once he hurt Verdejo the first time, or I think they didn't count the knockdown. Okay, twice in the round 9 he was down. There was a point where Verdejo was hurt prior to that round. I can't remember. I don't know if it was the 7th or 8th, but there was a time where Verdejo was hurt by a jab or something, and he just didn't look the same. All right, I don't think his legs were ever really that good, and he never really fully recovered. And plus, I think he was really drained from those big shots. I think Nakatani was very hesitant to get countered for a good portion of that fight. But he's a 1-2 guy. He works behind his jab. That's all he has. Throwing a jab and following it up with the right hand. That's all he has. He doesn't have many weapons. But he kept working at it, and it worked for him, and he was able to stop Verdejo. One thing with Nakatani, though, and I would like to see him. I can't wait to see him. I would love to see him against other top fighters in the division. One thing that I was saying in the live commentary I was doing, I think Nakatani has to do something in there to throw off Verdejo. I know he won the fight now, but I'm talking about before he was winning. Nakatani has a good jab. He moves extremely well. Okay, he has quick hands. But he needs to throw something else out there to throw off his opponents. He needs to maybe pull his jab. Just throw some light jabs out there. Pull the jab. Keep that. You're taller and you're longer than these fighters. All right? So keep that jab out there, or keep that lead hand out there and set up the right hand. Do something different, Throw the light jabs. Pull the jab. Do something else, but just throw the 1-2. Throw the 1-2 over and over again. Like, it's cool. It worked in this fight. But there was a point where it wasn't working. And if it wasn't for Verdejo's stamina issues, and the fact that he's not nearly as durable as Nakatani, clearly he's not. He's not. He just isn't. If he fights other opponents in that division, they'll be more durable. Their stamina is going to be better, and they're going to be better counterpunchers. They might not hit as hard. I mean, Verdejo had the timing. He was on point with it until he wasn't. I think he ran out of gas, and we didn't see the counters no more. It was just getting hit flush with everything at that point. All right? But Nakatani needs to do something else, or he has to add a little bit more to his game. I know he was rusty, and that was probably part of the reason why he was down so heavy in the earlier rounds. He's taking some big shots, and that's what happens. You go in a year and a half without fighting, and you lose in your last fight, and you go to a year and a half off. That's what happens to you. But once he got it going, got a nice rhythm going, he was able to take over, control the fight. Verdejo, on the other hand, I don't know if he can fix durability. I don't know if he can fix punch resistance. He's already been stopped twice now, okay? In both in his losses. And this was a step-up fight for him. This was a step-up fight. He hasn't even fought the true elite fighters at 135 yet. But he needs to, at the very least, he needs to work on his conditioning, because he could box well. He has good punching power. He has an amazing jab. But he needs to work on his conditioning, because he needs to be able to survive in these later rounds. Both fights where he lost, and even the Lozada fight, he was doing better early on in that fight. He was. But as the fight went down, the pressure was too much for him. The pressure was just too much. It seemed like every punch landed by Nakatani, no matter what it was, it could have been a jab, it affected him so much more, especially in that 9th round when Nakatani landed a jab and Verdejo flew. He literally flew against the ropes and fell down like he got hit with something like Mike Tyson punched him. He just isn't durable. But at the very least, the most he can do, at the very least, he should be able to work on his conditioning, man. He needs to work on his endurance. I mean, he's 27 years old. I mean, I know he's seasoned now. He has a lot of professional fights. He's a seasoned. He was a seasoned amateur. He was an Olympian. But at the very least, he needs to work on his conditioning, man. He definitely needs to work on that moving forward. I don't know what he needs to change. I don't know who's training him. I don't know any of that. But he needs change, because these things, this one key thing, could be fixed. It can be fixed. Okay? Learn to pace himself a little better. I think he was loading up on a lot of those shots, and he got burned out. So he has to work on his stamina, So what's gonna happen next? Well, I don't know what is gonna happen to Verdejo, but I think Verdejo just needs to fix that issue. Okay, fix that issue. Get in there with some of, you know, some lower guys, like 1 or 2 fights. You don't need to go through a whole streak of fighting journeymen. You don't need to do that. Okay, you can compete. It's just that the way you were stopped in both fights, you were stopped the same way late. I believe the Lozada fight was in the final round, the 10th round, and this fight was in the 9th round. So you need to work on your conditioning. It's clear that you need to work on your conditioning, and that's it. You know, get a couple fights in there. You know, make the adjustments, and hopefully you could get it. You have a name. You got somewhat of a name. People familiar with you. People know who you are. Get in there with another fighter, you know, not the very elite, but get in there with a fighter that's a top 20 guy, you know. When it comes to Nakatani, I would love to see him. You know, I know a lot of these guys are tied up trying to fight each other. A lot of guys want to fight Teofimo Lopez. You know, you got guys that's already scheduled to fight, like Ryan Garcia. You got, you know, Luke Campbell, him and Luke Campbell fighting. You know, try to get in there with Fortuna. That would be a great fight. Try to get in there. Like, let me pull this up. Yeah, you got Javier Fortuna out there. You have Lee Selby. You know, he just lost to Cambosos. Cambosos is trying to get a shot with Teofimo Lopez. I know Devin Haney's trying to get a shot. You know, I don't know what Vasil Lomachenko is going to do. Is he's going to have his rematch with Lopez. You know, Lopez is a big fish right now, so everybody's trying to go at him. Okay, but Nakatani, there's other fights out there. There's Devin Haney out there. There's Richard Comey out there. There's Lee Selby out there. There's Jorge Linares out there. Javier Fortuna out there. All right. There's a lot of, you know, I don't know if he will fight Masayuki Ito out there. You know, there's a lot of guys out there at 135, and these fights can be made. You know, so there's a lot of fights there. But when it comes to Verdejo, I suggest he strongly just work on that stamina issue, man. Because, listen, you may not be the best. You might take losses in the future. But at least work on that issue. Because if you're able to just box for a certain amount of rounds for a 12-round fight, you got to be able to box for 12 rounds consistently. Yeah, you got to gas and slow down a little bit. But you got to learn how to pace yourself and fight at a high level later in the fight, because he's not going to be able to compete with the very, very best if this continues happening. All right? Very great fight. One of the better fights I've seen this year. Definitely the fight of the night for sure. Both of these guys, we saw knockdowns, a lot of drama, good, clean punches, good counters, great fight, a lot of action. All right? Definitely fight of the night. All right? Good fight. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.